Hey guys, this is Chodaros, and thank you for joining me for yet another tutorial for a beautiful design created by Msloom. So this is a 5-pin bar setup, and it is created with Bling in mind for 2 beads to go in the center of each pattern. And for this one in particular, I decided to add some seed beads to the border bands, and all bling is not required to create the bracelet. You can create the whole thing without bling. You'll find in the tutorial I will explain that it's just as simple as adding cap bands instead of putting your bead band in those areas. Excuse me. So for this one here, for a full wrap, I did 6 patterns, and that one worked out perfectly for my wrist. This one here, I believe it is off one limb, which is just 4 patterns, and it was my practice one. It's not my best work, so I apologize, but I just wanted to get a good feel of the design. So with 4 patterns, you can see you need quite a bit of a chain to go on there, and then with 6 patterns it reaches my wrist perfectly. Okay, so we're going to grab our supplies and all of our bands and such, get our looms set up, and we'll get started. Okay, so we want a 5-pin bar setup. We have our 1st, 3rd, and 5th pin bar at one height, and then we just go down 1 peg, and then will be your 2nd and 3rd. This will be the 2nd time that I'm filming the tutorial. This is the practice rendition that I have, as the one I made in the last tutorial was all white and didn't come out very lovely. But as I'm not too thrilled with this, it's not my best work, at least I can use it as a guide for placing bands and the different color options that you may have that you want to think of. So by looking at this, the first thing that we're going to do is to lay this outer perimeter that you can see here I have in black. For mine, I used the they're the black shiny bands by Rainbow Loom. I want to say cylindric, but they're not the round bands. But they're a good durable band, and that's what you need for your perimeter. When we go to do our looping, which this will be the last that we loop, you will have a ton of bands on a lot of your pegs, so you're going to have to go through and grab that band there, and it needs to be durable enough to come back through. Okay, so let's get started with just placing our perimeter. So on the last one, I did try beads for the perimeter, and I'm going to go ahead and attempt it again. To be honest, I used, I don't always practice what I preach, huh? I put a bead on my perimeter band and not a seed bead. I could not slide it, thus broke a lot of my bands. So I'm going to do this one better. So in the center here, you always want to lay that band that we're going to use to close up. And then we're going to simply just take our bands and follow the pegs to the border or the outside pin bars, like that. So I'm going to use plain bands just for this part and then the other end. And then every band after, I did use seed beads this time, and these are the baby pink silk. I'm going to use a beaded band. This whole bracelet doesn't even require any beads. You can make it without. Msloom has made this bracelet with just center beads, so you can do what I'm doing, or you can just simply put plain bands. So to begin, after we laid our foundation, we want to go up on both sides 2 bands. After you have your 2 bands placed, we want to go ahead and continue with a V going in. So we're just taking a band diagonally in, and then taking another band diagonally out from that same pin. And then we do this on both sides. And this creates our first pattern. From the band that's going in on both sides, that is one complete pattern. For the band that's going out, that starts our next one. So my first bracelet I made 7 patterns long, and it was just a tad too big. So this time I'm only going to do 6 patterns and then add a small extension if need be. So that's how far up I'm going up the loom. If you have a slight larger wrist, than mine, which I am female and pretty tiny, please go ahead and attempt these 7 patterns in length for a full wrap. So again, we go up 2 pegs or 2 bands, and then we complete with our 1 band going in like that, and that will make our second pattern. And then we start with another band going out, thus creating a V. And then again going up two bands. So the perimeter does not meet. The 2 ends do not meet. So you could technically just go up one side of the loom and place the bands and then come back and place the other side, or you can do it the way I'm doing it together. So I will go ahead and leave you to finish, and we will meet back down, or I will meet you at the top to show you how to finish out the perimeter. So once you're finished with the length that you prefer, how we're going to close it up is just taking a band from the end pin bar diagonally in, and then we're going to go from that peg diagonally down to the center on both sides. So it's mirroring how we did it in the beginning. So that's what your loom should look like. Okay, so our next step is going to be adding these diamonds that are in between each pattern. So here I use the Egyptian black or pearl, but it has the white on the one side. So I changed the band that it's not the same band I used on my perimeter. So in this case, I'm going to use the glitter pink. So what we want to do is we want to go from this peg here. So here is our starting point. We go up 2 pegs, and that puts us in the general location where our V is. We want to take a band out to the right from that from that peg. That's a glitter band. Out to the right, excuse me, out to the left. And then we want to go from this outer peg and then go in to that center from both sides. And then that helps create this diamond like that. And that will happen on every area that our patterns meet, and that will kind of break them up into their own excuse me, individual. Okay, so we took a band out to each side to that V, and then from that peg you're going to go back in like that. So since I only have we only have 6, I'll go ahead and place all of these bands with you. And then this is the last one. So you have all of those diamonds in between. And our next step, easy peasy as well. We're going to create a single chain going up the center, but for each pattern, we're only going to place 2 bands. So you have from the beginning, going up 1, going up 2, then we hit our diamond, and then we skip through that diamond and begin at the top of it, and then again going up 2 bands, skipping that diamond. So you're just placing 2 bands, and this is what will separate your pattern into 2 sections. Again, I'm using the same color as I just used for my diamonds. And then our last band will go to where we close it up. Okay, now we have set a foundation where we can start laying our little sort of starbursts. There's like, in general, it's pretty much like 2 starbursts on each side. So you can see here, you have like a starburst pattern and one here, so it's 4, and then our bead will go in between. So I'd like to do follow the same color pattern that Msloom did, and what she did was she created a color that will surround her bead, and then the other bands that we use, she used a general color for that. So we always want to start from this peg here, okay? And I'm going to use the color I want to surround my bead. It's going to be pink, so I'm going to use that band going out first. And then I'm going to change to white, as this will be kind of like the background color. So then I want to go in order, and you want to place them clockwise just like a starburst, like this. And I'm going to change back to my pink, as my bead will fall here, and that's how we'll finish up that first starburst. Okay, so once you have that band placed, you want to come up, and on this next center pin we want to place a band going out to the right. This band will not be around my bead, so it is white. This next band will be around the bead, so I want to change that color to pink, but we're just essentially going in order. Now, we're not going to place a band going straight down because that's where that bead will fall. So we skip that peg and continue going over to the right like that. And we have 2 more bands to place. I will go back to my white, stay from that peg, take my band out to the left, and then finish off by taking a band going straight forward. So as I try to explain in a color manner, but what we did was we created a starburst here minus the band going forward. After that, we came to this pin, followed a starburst pattern again. We went out to that right, down, skipped that band going down, come out to the left, up to the left, and then finished by going straight forward. So as you can see, as I was saying, as far as having a color surrounding the bead will lay right here, and I will have pink bands around that bead. Obviously, color has nothing to do with the design. You can do it any way you choose. So we're going to mimic the same pattern on this side here, but we are just going to place the bands in the same order, but we're, you know what I mean, like we started on this pin going out to the right. I'm going to do the same here. So let me think here. Yep, I used my color band that goes to the right. Then I switch back to my background color. So then that band will come down. Then a band straight down. Then a band out from the left. Then I switch back to my color and have my center out to the top left. So that completes that starburst. And then I want to start my next starburst here on the next pin, and then we're going out to the right, change back to my colored band, go down to the right, We skip where we would place a band here and just go from the center down to the left. Go back to my white, from the center up to the left, and finish off by placing a band straight forward. So that completes one whole pattern right there. So you can see pink, pink, white. Okay? So then we start up at our next one. So I put my colored band there and then just follow in a clockwise manner all the way around. My last band I place, I change my color back to pink. Start up at our next center pin, out to the right one. I want to change back to my pink, go down to the right one, and then go down to the left, up to the left, and then one band straight forward. So then we continue on this other side here. We want to take a band from that bottom, going out, and then down to the right, straight down, down to the left, up. That's when I change my color, up to the left, and that completes that one. And now we want to start on this peg, up to the right, and then down to the right, and then we come out from this peg and we want to place one going down to the left, up to the left, and complete it by taking one band going straight forward. Okay? I know it looks like a big crossword puzzle cobweb right now, but it all makes sense when we go to loom them. I'm going to do one more with you, a little bit quicker, and then I will let you guys work on yours. Oops. It is a challenge if you try to do it by color. And obviously, always wanting to make sure that you're pushing down your bands, as there will be more placed. Okay, so that concludes our third. So I'll let it be to you to go ahead and finish to the end. If you have any questions, you can always rewind back and see how the band placement should be. And close up, you'll be fine placing them. You're going to place them all the way, to the end here. So I will meet you back down at the beginning of the loom so we can place our beads. So we have all of our bands placed, and just want to make sure once again that you have these open areas on each pattern. So you have like a diamond. We don't have a band going across. So then you'll have two straight bands, and then in the second pattern you'll have another open area, and that's where we're going to place our beaded bands. Now, please note that if you are not planning on using Bling, all you need to do is place a cap band on these two pins and these two pins in each one, okay? Because that's all we need to do is create a cap band of some sort, and then you'll be able to loom out the entire bracelet. If you are using Bling, you can use, and it's obviously pretty much suggested to use on a clear band because this band will not be visible, I'm using just a 6mm glass bead pearl, and I have added 2 bead caps to it. So that is what I'm going to use. It is a little bit of a challenge because the bead cap is a little pointy and will kind of grab on a band, but it'll work just fine. So how we want to place this is, what we need to do is we need to create a cap band on this one end of the beaded band, and then create a cap band from this end of this band. Okay, so we place the bead on the 2 center pins, like so. But as you know, whenever we go to loom out any type of a starburst pattern, it always needs to be secured by a cap band. So we're just simply going to do that by taking this end of the band and twisting it to make it doubled and place it back on the peg. So we're just going to double that side, and then you come in, do the same thing. I'm just going to use my hook, it kind of helps. So I'm just going to take it and fold it over to double it, and then place that band back on the peg. So if you're using a good quality clear band such as Rainbow Looms, you should have no issues whatsoever. I've already loomed out one with the cap bands like that, and it works perfect. Okay, so you want to make sure that bead is in the center so you have enough room. And we're going to come to the left part of our design, and again place the band going straight forward like that, and you can see it falls right in the center of that diamond shape. And then we want to take that band, and we'll start on this peg, and I want to grab it. Maybe that will help. I want to grab it, I want to fold it to create a cap band, and then take it and place it back on the peg. And the same thing with this one here. I'm just going to take it by the one end and just, you know, you're making an X or you're crisscrossing it. Oh, creating another hole and placing it, doubling it back onto the pin. And that will make it super secure where your bead will stay in place, as well as the pattern will loom out correctly. So we want 2 beads for each pattern. So I guess I can start on this one if it's easier for camera view. I apologize if my hands are getting in the way. So this is how the easiest way I found to do it. You may find an easier way to place them. So again, going in here and capturing this end of the band, and then doubling it, folding it back onto the pin, and then grabbing this end, finding the easiest way you can to double it, trying to do it so you can see, and then placing it back on the peg. Okay, I'll do one more. Trying to untwist this end. Okay, so place it. Take my hook and just use it as a guide. Twist it. And then take this side, double it, place it back. Okay, so we can go ahead and finish that up. Again, it's 2 beads per pattern, so you will need 12 beads for if you're doing 6 patterns long in length. So we'll go ahead and finish those up, and then we'll be ready for looping. So all of my beaded bands are placed. Yours should be similar, at least in the spots. And again, if you're not using any type of beads, you're just making sure you have 2 cap bands on those pegs in the center of the design. So we are ready to start looping our bands, we're going to start out of this bottom cap band from the bead. So first we're going to loom out of this bottom cap band, then when we're done we're going to come to this cap band here and loom out. So we just go down, and as usual you want to grab that top band, and in our case here it's coming straight down. The next band in line, and this one's going out to the right. The next band is going to the upper right. Our bead band is in place of a band that would go straight, so we go over, and the next peg in line is to the upper left, and then the last band on that peg should go down to the bottom left. So always making sure that you're looping where you have a perfect teardrop. There isn't any bands that are caught. And then we can move up to this part of that beaded band, the second cap band here. So again, we just go in and make sure you're grabbing the top band, and this one will come down to the bottom right. The next one in line should go to the top right. And then on the second cap band, we have a band that's going to go straight forward. And then back in to the top left, and then the last band on that peg will go out to the bottom left. And the goal is to make sure that there are no bands left on these two pegs here. And then we're okay to move over to the left part of the pattern. So again, we start with this bottom cap band and grab that top band, which it's going to go down. Next band in line, the bottom right. Next one will be to the top right. Then we go to the top left, and the last band on that peg should go down to the bottom left. Okay, so then we come up to this upper cap band and grab the top band, and that one is coming to the bottom. Oops. There we go, to the bottom right. And then the next band should go right in line to the top right. And then straight forward. And then to the top left. And then finishing with the bottom left. Okay? Make sure that all of your bands are pressed down. So you can see you have your perimeter, and all of those bands are they're loomed out on your perimeter, okay? So we have these bands in the center, as well as these bands here that are like that diamond shape. So we need to make sure that we loom those to a border band peg, so that way they'll catch them as well. So we're going to start here in this peg that is in between your two beads. You're going to have a lot of bands to go down through. So you have two bands on that peg in the bottom. So you want to grab that top one, and that band will come straight down like that. Okay? And then the next band will be the one that's going to go straight forward, and it'll be the only peg left, or only band left on that peg, and loom that one forward. So now this peg shouldn't have any more bands to loom out. So that makes it secure that it won't fall apart. And our next step will be, we have these two bands coming down here. We want to make sure that we don't have any bands left on this peg. So we want to reach down in, grab that top one, which should be the one going to the right. And then our last band on that peg should be the one coming out to the left. Okay, so if you keep in mind, our goal is to make sure that every band is loomed out to a perimeter peg, then you'll be good to go. So our next step will be to go back into this cap band and again loom out those bands there, and then we can worry about, you know, coming back down and closing that part up. But as long as you have your first pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 center pegs with all the bands loomed out, you'll be good. So we go back into this one here, and then again we're looming every band out, whatever band is on top. And then the last band down this way. Okay, and then we come into this top cap band. Again, loom all of the bands out. But we have the one going forward this time. And then our last one coming down. So every band is loomed out. Oh no, I just broke. Tell me I did not just break my band. Oh God, did I? I did. Okay, I tried to move over my bling band with my hook, which is a no-no, so I need to undo these bands, recapture, or put my bling band back on. So I will be back in a second. Okay, sorry about that. So I just finished, you know, as we just finished out looming out this second pattern, we just have another added step that we're going to do from here on out. But first we go back into that peg that is in between your two beads, and then we want to grab that band that is coming straight down like that, and then we want to go back into this peg and grab the band that's going straight up. So there is a ton of bands on that peg, so please make sure that you don't tug on it and fear of breaking a band. So once we do that, we want to come down and we want to loom out those bands here. And we want to loom everything free from this peg. So we're just going to go down through all those bands and grab that top band that's going to go to the bottom right, and then go back in and loom out that last band, which will go down to the bottom left, and that will open up this peg here, so no bands are left in it, and these are loomed over to a border band peg like that. So now we want to go to the top of our design here, and we want to loom out these two bands in this peg here. So we want to go down, trying to find that top one there. Okay, mine's going to the left, and then the last one will go to the other side like that. So that will complete all of the pegs, and every band that we just loomed is now sitting on a border band peg that will be picked up. Okay, so we want to go up to our next beaded band. Again, go down through that cap band and pull the bands in order out. So this will be the last one I show you. So we finish with that one, we come up to this cap band, do the same. Okay, and then push down all of your bands, and then we come over to the left side here and do the same. and then the top of that cap band. So you can imagine, you can see how many bands are going on a lot of these pegs here. Okay, so now that we have both sides loomed out, we want to go into this peg here where our bead's on the side, go down through all of those bands and grab that first top band, which should be the band that's coming straight down. And then we'll just go ahead and move that band in the center. Then we'll go ahead and complete this peg by going in and grabbing that other band that goes straight forward, like that. And then now we want to loom out these diagonal bands, so we go all the way down and grab that top band, and that band goes to this bottom right, and then the last band on that peg should go to the opposite side, like that. So this peg is now free of any bands. Okay, so then we want to complete this one by going up into the center peg and then just looming these diagonal bands out. And then we are ready to start in our next beaded cap band. So let's go ahead and we will loom out the rest on our own. If you have any questions or need any assistance, please feel free to rewind. And then when we're all finished, I'll meet you at the top for close up. Okay, so we have everything loomed up, and the last center band that you should loom will be the one coming from this peg going straight forward. And then we have our perimeter left at the end. Okay, so we come down to the beginning here, and then we're just going to start in the center peg and loom out the border as we typically do, just going in line, going through all those bands. The one on top, in my case, is going to the left, and the next one will be going to the right. Okay? So you have two options. You can either loom the border up on one side and then come back down and do the other, or you can loom them together. I think it's easier for me to show you. I'm just going to loom up. I'm going to do each pattern together so you can see. So we just go in and just grab every bottom band. So we always, you know, how we laid it, we went up 2, and then we come to this V. So then we just go in here and grab that one. It goes diagonally in, go back in here. Now this is going to be one of your heaviest pegs with bands, so you're really going to have to get down there far. And then this one gets loomed diagonally out. And then again we go forward 2 bands. Now I accidentally went past that side, but I'll just go to this one that's going in like that, and then we'll come over and do this side over here. So we already loomed out our one perimeter. Go up into this peg and loom this one out here, and then we're just going to take it straight forward and straight forward, and then take it in. And now before we take it out, remember this is a heavy band, a pin with a ton of bands on it, so we go to the bottom and grab that band and take it diagonally out. So to pair up this side, I'm just going to keep going again, straight forward, and then diagonally in. And now I am where I was on this side here. Okay, so that's what we're going to continue with, and we're going to continue it up the loom. So I'll do one more here. And then I'll come on this side, and sure that's the right band. Go up, and then up, and then diagonally in, and that would be that one completed. Okay, so let's finish this all the way up, and I'll meet you up top for our close up, and then we can pull it off our Okay, so I have closed up my bracelet. You should have loomed the end down to this center peg, and then we had that close up band already placed, and so I placed my C-clip on that band there. Always a good idea, turn it on its side, and if you look down your whole loom, you want to make sure that you don't see any bands left down there, and then you'll have a good indication that you grabbed every one. So now, just simply going to pop it off the loom. So I'm just going to do one pattern, this first one here, just to show the easiest way that I found, which is pretty typical. We just kind of want to grab the outside bands first. And then once we get all of the 2 outer pin bars off, then we can go ahead and grab the centers. But we want to make sure when you come to these 2 pegs, and they're the ones with the double or with the cap band that we have, I think it's the most loaded up pin. Make sure that you get underneath all of those bands and pop them off. The center one has a lot too, and then this other side. That's the peg there, has a ton of bands. It's like the inside of our V. Okay, so that's how we're going to pop it off our loom, and that's how mine's going to look, and I love it. So let's go ahead and pull the rest of it off, and then we'll meet back up once we have it off our loom. Oh, I love it. If you only knew how much better this one looked than the first. So let's see, the 6 is perfect. Yay! So because I put beads on my perimeter, I will have some work to do, just taking carefully my bands and moving that seed bead to the center. If you didn't place any beads on your perimeter, yours should already be in line. And then I use some, these are the sweets. I think I said glitter earlier. So I'm going to go through, untwist any bands. So I'll just do the first one here to show you. Overall, it's an A. Now you can understand how Msloom did hers, and then I wanted to replicate by adding the colored bands around the beads. So I kind of have that white, and then the white, and then in the center is the pink. I absolutely love it. I hope you guys are as happy as I am with your rendition. Super cool design. Once again, big thanks, shout out to Msloom. So I'm just going to finish up organizing all of the beads and untwisting any bands if necessary. But this is the final result. Super awesome. I hope you're happy with yours. Make sure that you do hashtag Msloom and myself on Instagram and let us see what you've come up with. I'm sure it's going to be gorgeous. And make sure that you do stay tuned. Have a lot more coming up in the near future. So thanks for joining me again, and I will see you soon.